So I rice the potatoes into the pan again, cleaned out and dry. All right, really dry, and it dries quickly because it's hot. But so I've stirred the potatoes and let them burn steam off, and there was a little bit of steam coming off just a few minutes ago. And as you move them around, you want to move them around so you don't scorch them on the bottom. So I keep the flame somewhere in there, kind of a light flame, and really pay attention to it and just turn it every once in a while gently. Again, you don't want to bruise and do the starchiness on the potatoes. And so I'm pretty happy with where we're at. You can see a little bit of steam kick off every once in a while when I move it around. At the same time, again, you can't cook it down to the point where there's no steam coming off, or you're going to be scorching up the potatoes. You're going to want to carry a little moisture over. This is where, so I'm doing this a few times, and you get a feel for it when there's good potatoes, when they're flaky. If the thing starts to clump together or become like Play-Doh already, that's not a good thing. You want it so it's kind of dry and flaky. Okay, I don't know if that's pretty much done. We'll just go ahead and live with that one. This does play a role later on when we put the stuff on the board, but from my feel of it, it's working well. So I'll take this and put it back into this pan. And just make sure, I'm going to scrape the bottom, but I'm not going to scrape it. I'm just going to gather what potato sits on top, because if you really try to get off, if you scorched any, and you will, a little bit of white, there's a little white in the bottom of that, and you just leave that. Don't try to gouge it, or otherwise you get, spotty stuff in the lefse at the end, and maybe clumpy, or maybe a chunk of something, and that's not good. So we'll get that. We're done with that. The heat's off. So then what we got is this right now, and what we'll do is we're going to mix in some of the ingredients. Everything but flour. You don't do flour before you cool it. You do flour. You add flour as the next day, and we'll cover that tomorrow. We'll cool this overnight after we mix this stuff in, and then tomorrow morning, or whenever you're gonna bake or fry the lefse, you'll then add in the flour, and there's another kind of a experimentation for feel on the result. But right now this is really good. And so here the recipe again calls for 1/4 cup melted butter, 1/4 cup half and half cream, 1 teaspoon of salt. So again, I talked about the fact that we had some pretty dang big potatoes, so I'm gonna go ahead and add like a third, it's 3/8, whatever, a third of a cup of melted butter. That's not a big deal to whiff on a little bit. I'll have a third of a cup of half and half ready. I probably won't use it all. I will put in about 1/4 to begin with. This is what you want to be careful with. You want to, I'll show you the texture that we're going to get to, but you want to be careful with the cream. So, and then we'll put the salt in, make sure it gets mixed in thoroughly here. So we'll get after it. So, again, you would go with the butter and just, put it over and spread it around so you get it all over the place. And then I go ahead and put the salt in at this point. And so take a teaspoon of salt. You don't want to get crazy with the salt. Mom, there's, you can taste the dough, and if there's an improper amount of salt in it, you'll know after a while when you get, again, it's experience on it. But, having no salt is bad. Having way too much salt is not good. So I'm sticking with 1 teaspoon at this point, and I'm not going to increase it with the rest of the batch. I'm not a big fan of salt, and you got to have a little bit, but having too much is a bummer. So I'll work the salt and the butter in, again, you don't want to get too aggressive with the potatoes. Then again, you don't want to be here all night either. So just kind of get that to a point where you're okay with it. And You can kind of see now, when I cool it overnight, I'm going to form it into a ball. And you can kind of see how soft that is. It's too soft. Or, I mean, it's not soft enough, actually. But it's not bad. So I'm going to be careful with the cream. And probably start with that much. And then work that in. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna go much more than that because I think there was some moisture left in there. You know, those potatoes, again, I was probably a little impatient, but I don't like scorching them either. So it's a little loose for me, for my taste, so I'm not gonna, we got a little bit of cream left here, so that was probably a 1/4 cup that went in. But it was pretty moist potatoes. So what happens when it cools overnight, a lot of that moisture will pop out, and so what I'll do is I'll form it into, at least I'm kind of satisfied. Yeah, you know, it's not bad. Not bad at all. You see it's kind of forming up now as it cools into this kind of a ball, right? And so this is actually good news. Because if it starts to form up like this, you want it to get, now you want it to be like a brand new can of Play-Doh. Is really probably the consistency you're getting. Or remember when Mom made Play-Doh out of flour and I think it was sugar and water or something like that, and she'd make, you know, some homemade Play-Doh at times if we ran out, whatever. But you can kind of see that consistency, and it forms up. You're not leaving anything on the bowl. It's cleaning up nice. And so I'm going to crown this and make a ball out of it so that as the water comes out of it, it kind of goes down towards the bottom of the bowl and doesn't sit on it and re-enter into the potatoes. So it kind of rolls off, and then you can mop it up, get that extra water out of there. There'll be water on the lid, so when you take the lid off in the morning, do it gently and get that over to the side quick because there's going to be condensate up on the bottom of that bowl, or the lid, and you don't want that water going back in to the lefse. So this is kind of how I kind of form that, you know, a nice ball in the middle so that water runs off, and then when we pick it up tomorrow, you'll see I'll take a paper towel and just get all that moisture out of there, and then we'll take it from there tomorrow. So this is a big bowl. I'll put it in the garage because I don't know how cold it's getting there yet, but if it's, you know, it's above freezing, you don't want to freeze the stuff. I think we're in the 40s right now, go down to the 30s. The garage is going to be probably 40, 50 all night anyway. Perfect, just let it sit in the garage. I don't think we'll be able to fit this in the fridge right now. So if you can fit in the fridge, use the fridge. If not, garage, back porch, whatever. And then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Thanks.